please stop. Please stop calling for open scoring in MMA. I don't want it, and believe it or not, neither do you. Now, for any of you that are unsure about what I'm talking about when I say open scoring simply means that the scores per round get revealed to the fighters, to the commentary team, and to the audience as the fight is progressing. So after round 1, we'll all find out who the judges officially scored to win that round, same after round 2, and at the end of the fight of round 3. 5 rounds if it's a main event or title fight. And people are calling for this because they believe that it will solve a lot of the issues in terms of the judges, and it will hold them more accountable to the scores they give because it will be reflected right there in the moment. Rather than it being shown at the end of the fight when everyone's on their way out the door, it's shown in the moment. So if you give a dodgy score, you're gonna get booed. The judge is gonna get booed there and then. They're gonna be held more accountable to what they're doing throughout the fight. The other argument in favor of it is that if we get to the last round and someone now knows for sure that they're down 2 rounds, that they're going to take the fight to the next level in order to try to secure the finish. The same way that if we know the fight is 1 round apiece going into the 3rd, that both guys know that it's either guy's match and either one could win at any moment. Now, the main counter argument to that second one is not actually my real issue with it. The main counter argument to that is that fighters aren't that way inclined anyway. A real fighter is going to fight to the end regardless of if they're up 2 rounds, down 2 rounds, or 1 round apiece. And that in a fight, you don't really have a choice about backing off and taking it easy or pushing the pace, especially at the highest levels. You got to push all the way through, otherwise you're getting knocked out or you're getting submitted. So there's no real decision there to be made. Sure, you can make tactical decisions about fighting a safer fight or a more dangerous fight, but generally speaking, that's not the problem. For me, the real problem comes down to the entertainment aspect of the sport. And already I hear people getting triggered because they don't like it when people talk about the entertainment factor because they say they're a purist. I'm only here for the kicks and punches. I'm only here to watch 2 warriors battle it out in Mortal Kombat. I don't care for the entertainment factor. I'm entertained by the fight on its own. But I can guarantee you, for a lot of casuals, that's just not true. For some of you hardcore fans, that certainly can be true, but it's not enough to just have the hardcore fans. Take Glory Kickboxing as an example. Glory Kickboxing is the premier organization for kickboxing around the world. And in comparison to something like boxing or MMA, it is minuscule. It is a tiny viewing audience, and in terms of a business, it is a tiny business. It just doesn't get the same amount of eyes. And this might strike you as being kind of weird, because when you watch MMA, you'll see the casuals booing and moaning and saying it's boring when the fight goes to the ground. Whenever there's a big BJJ exchange or wrestling against the cage, people are like, this is boring. What am I watching? It's 2 guys rolling around. But then go watch kickboxing, because none of that's allowed. It's just guys striking and trying to knock each other out. But people don't go watch it. Kickboxing is not the big combat sport, MMA is. And it comes down to the entertainment factor. And a huge part of what makes the entertainment factor of these sports is anticipation. Anticipation before the fight. This is why we do all of the embeddeds, and they do the countdown show, they show the weigh-ins, they do all of this huge amount of media before the fight to build anticipation. And it's why the biggest fights in the world have been won where there's some kind of personal beef. Khabib versus Conor, fights like that where there was something more than just the kicks and punches. People were fighting and arguing over more than just who's the better fighter on the night. And it gets more and more people invested. Admittedly, a lot of these are the casuals, but again, if you want to propel your sport to the next level, you need to appeal to more than the hardcores. The big problem with a lot of combat sports like karate, taekwondo, even BJJ and wrestling in their isolated form is there's no entertainment factor. If you're not into the sport and you're not personally invested in it, as in you train it or you coach it or you do it, you just don't find it that entertaining to watch, and it's not designed to be. Watching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, as someone who's never watched it before, is boring to watch. You don't understand what you're looking at, you don't really get what you're seeing. Kickboxing is more interesting because you understand what a knockout is, but once you've seen a couple of fights, they can all start to very much look the same because, again, if you don't have an understanding of the finer details, it's just two guys punching each other in the head. What's the big deal? The trick is the stories. It's the build up and it's the anticipation. Now, by creating and using open scoring, what you're doing is you're removing the anticipation of the result. And this is tried and tested in things like Glory Kickboxing. Glory Kickboxing implements open scoring. Both the fighters and the audience are privy to the score going into the final rounds. Guess what? Majority of cases, I don't finish watching kickboxing fights.
I am shocked. Shocked! Well, not that shocked.
Because I know and understand that this guy, 99.9% of the time now, has won the fight. Unless there's this big, unbelievable knockout at the end. That is the rare exception. Because if you've been losing the fight the whole way, you're probably more fatigued, you're probably beaten up, and you probably don't have it in you to find that knockout. Now, on the rare occasion that you do, that's amazing, and it's one of the best things to ever watch when a fighter's been losing the whole time. Chael Sonnen, Anderson Silva throws up the Hail Mary triangle right at the end and wins the fight. Amazing. But let's say you were watching that fight when it happened and you knew that Chael was up 4 rounds to nothing going into the 5th, which we all did, but you'd seen it in paper. You are more than likely to just click off and leave it at that point. And you would have missed that Hail Mary triangle. You wouldn't have even captured that moment. It's a very interesting element of it. And when a fight is razor thin, when it's super close and it's back and forth, Weili Zhang and Joanna Jędrzejczyk, when them two fought, I had no idea who won and I couldn't be peeled away from my TV to see the final result. Now, I can't remember what the judges' scorecards were, but if I do remember, if we had open scoring, I'm pretty sure you would have known the result regardless of what happened into the 5th round. I might be wrong on that, but I guarantee there's occasions where that holds true, where you know it's 3 rounds to 2 or whatever it is. Going into that 5th round, the 5th round isn't going to be the deciding factor. I personally believe that reserving that anticipation of the result and also a little bit of the controversy when it goes wrong, it's part of the package. It's part of the entertainment factor. It's why we end up with these awesome rematches where the judges build the rematch because they scored it wrong, they gave it the wrong way. Everyone wants to see that fight again because they want to see how it would play out if they went over it. Now, what I don't want for fighters is for them to get unfairly treated, which is why I always argue that there should no longer be this whole show money, win money. They should win their purse regardless of the result and regardless of the judging. That way, the impact of this on their lives and their families' lives is mitigated a bit. Now, obviously, if you get a whole bunch of bad decisions, that sucks, but I really don't think that open scoring is going to be the thing that solves that for you. Whether you got there or didn't get there knowing the score, I don't think for the majority of cases that's what's going to make the difference in your performance in that final round. What I really think open scoring will do is make the sport a bit more boring, make it a little bit more transparent and clear to everyone, and therefore eliminate some of that anticipation that makes it so enjoyable to watch. Now, I'm happy to argue this with you guys, so please feel free to comment down below if you disagree or if you agree. Let's have a discussion on it, but I personally am not a fan of open scoring and don't want to see it in MMA anytime soon. Guys, if you've enjoyed the video or even if it wound you up, hit the like button, comment down below, subscribe to the channel. We've got new videos coming every week, and I will see you on the next one.